Hello everyone, welcome to Redmen Radio, the podcast from the Redmen TV. I am Paul Machin. Clockwise around the table from me is Ross Chandley, it's Ben Kelly, and it's Chris Pajak as well. Kick-off question comes from Christopher Scott. He's asked it of me, but we can spread it around the table. From 1 to being a United fan, how bad is Paul feeling from his Monday morning hangover? I think it's fair to say we were all utterly destroyed. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I didn't make it in. Yous all did. Kudos to all of you. Yeah. Genuine kudos to all of you.
None of us were winners, though.
No one was. No. Pop World was the big winner.
Pop World was a big winner.
Yeah.
As was the beer colour.
Absolutely horrendous. So on a scale, if you had to rate your hangover, with ultimately 10 being the absolute worst it could possibly be.
What? Oh right, okay. United fan.
Yeah. It was like I felt I felt worse than a United fan on Monday. And bear in mind. I mean, I don't know. Fan. Yeah. yeah, that. Horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. I don't know why I moved.
I've had worse.
I have not had worse in recent memory. It's been a very, very, very long time since I drank that much. And
it was a solid 13 hours of drinking
for you.
Yeah. I regret that.
Didn't even do that much. We started. You had some before the game, didn't you? And I didn't.
Like 6.
You had 6 cans before the game.
4 cans and 2 pints.
Amazing. Yeah. I didn't start to. We had the pub. I had a couple in the pub after that, and then it was all bets off. Like it was the fuck. I don't know why, but I started drinking rum and coke.
You don't drink rum and coke?
No. That's where you fall down when you start drinking.
Was I drinking rum and coke?
You were drinking rum and coke.
Yeah, you both were. I bought you both one, and for some reason, both of you, when asked what do you want to drink, went rum and coke.
I didn't drink rum and coke.
Beer all night.
You had rum and coke. I know what it was. In fact, I think I had some of yours and went, oh, that's all right. And someone was drinking. I was like, the most recent words that were in my head were rum and coke. So I went with that.
You were also the leader of shots that night as well, by the way.
Oh yeah.
More Sambuca.
Yeah, just get Sambuca, everyone.
Yeah, I remember doing that in beer cellar and getting us like 10 or 11 shots of Sambuca then.
Pot World.
Again in Pot World.
Yeah, my bad.
Pot World's expensive.
I've no idea. All I know, if anyone who works in Pop World is watching or listening, if anyone's handed to set a house keys in,
have you got the Tranmere Rovers thing on?
Not anymore, no. If you can get in touch, let me know. That'd be great.
Failing that, I'll give you his address. It's just drop him off, yeah.
Right, news. Yeah. If you can just
at 1 o'clock in the morning,
come in and leave them on the sideboard inside, but leave them by my shoes. News in brief. Then Liverpool or Dortmund are most likely to get Julian Brandt, according to Rafa Honigstein. Fine with this. Yeah, I'm fine with this. City could get kicked out of the Champions League. I mean, it would be amazing.
Is this a good thing?
Right, okay. In so much as, I think yes, it is. It is in a wider picture. Taking our Liverpool hats off, I think it's a brilliant thing because it shows the world that there needs to be ramifications for being cheats. In terms of, does it make Liverpool's attempts to win the Premier League next season, if they got kicked out next season, easier? Possibly not, but equally, does it potentially hamper their ability to buy players? If you're buying players that they were going to be going for, it might help in that regard. I don't.
Is the year's not enough for me? I don't think.
How that didn't knock that cup of tea over.
It very nearly did. Well, that's how I felt on Monday.
Man down. Man down. Here's the thing. Rob Gutman put a great tweet about it out, and Rob Gutman obviously from the Anfield Rap and stuff, and he said yes, you need to have the ramifications for financial fair play, but actually it helps City in so much as if people are actually going to start enforcing those rules, no one else can break into this top 6. So in that regard, they're already through the door. They've cheated to get through. They now earn enough money so that they can carry on the way that they are. We needed this a few years ago when they were ploughing millions and millions of pounds to get and breach that gap between us and Manchester United and them. So it's too late. They want the door shut, and all the big clubs want the door shut behind them, and that's kind of what Rob Gutman's tweet was about. Yeah. And I agree with that. I'd not thought of it in that regard, but of course, all the big clubs want is just to guarantee that we're only going to be fighting between 5 or 6 of us every season.
Another reason why I say a year is not enough, because of all the money that they've spent and the amount they've done it. To say for a year, well they've had a year ban. What's to say that another huge step? And it's pretty much you can get investigated in 7 years' time when they've won stuff.
But why haven't the FA, the Premier League, why aren't they?
Well,
Why is it just UEFA?
But it's not. It doesn't. The rules don't belong to anybody else. It's UEFA financial fair play, isn't it? So they're not breaking any.
Yes, no, but I mean, financial fair play does. The Premier League's got. I'm sure the Premier League's got its own version. The Championship's got its own version as well, hasn't it? Like, so it stands to reason it might be a domino effect where if they go, then it maybe forces the hand. I don't think it will, because I think the Premier League are too made up with the fucking money that they.
What I also don't get is why UEFA are saying, well, all right, you know, we might ban you for a year. Well, what about the winnings that they've just got from last year?
Yeah.
You know, they cheated to get in there and probably earned 80 million quid from. Why is that 80 million quid fair game?
You imagine there'd be a fine that goes along with it. It'd be interesting to see. It's one to keep an eye on. The problem is we all sound really salty and bitter talking about it, because how can we not? This is the team that's just beaten us to the Premier League. All of that being said, it's fair to say we've been talking about this for years now, you know, and it's fucking blindingly obvious. It would be lovely if someone did step up and make it a thing. And I've seen really sensible people, Man City fans, like kind of go, yeah, well, I can't be asked to think about this at the moment. And to be fair, I'd probably be feeling the same if I found out it was Liverpool. I'd be so angry with Liverpool if I found out that they got to this way by doing it. Now, it's tough because we also talk about Liverpool being shit houses on the pitch and how much we love bending the rules. If everyone's going to bend the rules, then we should do it as well. But to find out you've done it in an honest way and then been beaten by someone who's not is it's a bit of a kick in the teeth, isn't it? But fascinating to see what goes on. My hope in a worst case scenario for City is it's not a great time for them in terms of their squad. I mean, I know they've got a lot of really good young players and what have you, but they're going to have to replace Fernandinho. They've maybe argued they've replaced Kompany, but they played him at the back end of the season as well. David Silva and Aguero, this is the spine of their team, and it's all on the edge. It's all on the edge of starting to fall apart, and a season missed with, if particularly if financial fair play is going to be constantly backed, to lose £90 million of income for not being in it for a year, which is what you get if you get to the semi-finals, roughly. That could... I
think it relies heavily over whether Guardiola jumps ship or not, because I think he's desperate to win the Champions League. So he's not won it this season. If this happens, he's not going to win it next season. And then you're looking at 2 years' time, he'll have his first shot again at winning the Champions League with City. If you've got an ageing squad there, then he might look at players around Europe. We discussed it on the Around the League today. He might want to work with Cristiano Ronaldo at Juventus. He might want to work with Neymar at PSG. And suddenly then players who are being attracted to the club may not be as interested because there's uncertainty over the manager. If over the summer the manager sits down with players and goes, okay, we've got this ban, but I'm definitely going to stay, then I don't think it will hinder players wanting to come to Man City, because I think they'll take the year off to then be developed under Guardiola as a coach. But if he can't make promises that he's going to be around long term and there's going to be a bit of uncertainty at the club, he might go through a bit of transition. That's the point where I think that they may have a few problems attracting players.
The one thing is that Man City and Guardiola would have no problem lying to players. Because, I mean, let's be honest, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
The breaking rules. So Guardiola will sit there and go, yeah, I'm staying. He come sign for me. Yes, I'm just leave a year later. And
here's loads of money as well. They do strike me as the kind of ones who they take the ban, they take it, and then they carry on doing. They just get a bit cleverer, you know what I mean? A bit
stop
shady,
emailing about it and smoke signals instead.
Yeah, absolutely. Just start doing it on like all the dodgy dealings on like Snapchat again. Makes a big resurgence in Manchester.
You can just use WhatsApp now.
Yeah, sweet.
End-to-end encrypted, you know.
What's the what?
End-to-end encrypted.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It wouldn't shock me if they were the ones who cracked it. Right, what's the Reds News Roundup? Every single week throughout the summer, if you want transfer news, if you want to have a little bit more about this City stuff, as Ben mentioned there, the Around the League podcast is on the redmentv.com. Go over there and watch and or listen to that as well. We've got a sponsor this week. It is Threads for Reds. Chris Pajak, tell everyone. You're wearing a thread for a Red as we speak.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the shirts are incredible. I mean, I've been talking to Simon, who runs Threads for Reds, and they've got an incredible Going to Madrid shirt. If you've not seen it with the bottle tops and stuff, it's flying at the moment. And if you live in the UK, if you live in a couple of zones in Europe, you can still get it in time for the final. And Simon's given us a discount code again, so we've been reactivated that one. It's Redmen, 10 capital letters, REDMEN 10. to get 10% off and get some belter threads for the Champions League final.
Absolutely. Get yourself involved, get yourself kitted out in time for Liverpool to hopefully go and deliver that wonderful big-eared bastard. Wolves. Ross, that was the...
That's the noise, isn't it? That's the noise that you make.
Yeah. Yeah. That was that's one of the weirdest games of football I've ever watched. I've never celebrated a goal at Anfield that I haven't seen before.
Twice.
Apart from maybe those times where you run the bog and it goes in and you go, yeah, but like went for it. Like,
but Paul, did you know we weren't celebrating a goal?
No, well, I celebrated a goal that never happened, followed by a goal that did happen. So I just, yeah.
So not only have you not celebrated a goal at Anfield, but you've not celebrated a non-goal at Anfield, which is incredible,
absolutely,
and then celebrated the goal.
The same thing happened in the pub. So we had obviously both matches on the screens, so it cut to the Liverpool fans celebrating. We were watching the game live and going, what the fuck are they celebrating? Nothing's happened. And then like Sky fell for it as well, didn't they? So they cut to it as well. Of like
and they just showed Brighton winning a corner.
And just go, what the fuck's going on? And about a minute and a half later, they finally scored. And it was just like, just ecstasy. And then what I was saying before, everyone just kind of sat around with like head and hands. We were like, oh, well,
for 83 seconds.
I was like, oh, what the fuck is going on here? Like shaking. There's bodies everywhere in the pub. It was brilliant.
It was tantalising, Ben. It was just, I remember, because I've seen the Liverpool-Blackburn game so many times. I've seen the highlights from it back in, it was like 94, was it they won it, or 95? Their fans going from we scored and their fans were all down the dumps to like this murmuring wave goes around the crowd when you realise Man United, West Ham is going in their favour, and then everyone's just rah, and I was like, holy shit, I'm watching that. I am watching that moment, and I have, in all my years of going to Anfield, I've never seen that, and that made it doubly hard. I was so prepared. The Champions League insulated me. I thought I felt fine. I was relaxed. I was confident going into that game. But just to have it like wafted under my nose absolutely fucking ruined me.
No, yeah. We arrived at Beer Keller afterwards and I said to Steve, are you okay? And he just went, no. He said the worst thing about today was Brighton scoring. Yeah. And I agree and I don't agree, because even though, it did make the day a lot more difficult to take afterwards, it was still just, it was a feeling that I've never, ever had before when that goal goes in. Or when you started celebrating the goal that didn't happen until it actually did. So, I mean, I can still picture watching the telly now in sound and the crowd starting to make noise and just that initial butterflies of, oh my God, has something happened? I don't think I'd change that, because it was just an amazing feeling. Yeah. As a snapshot in time, that was a fantastic couple of minutes, and it sounds dead sad when you say it, because rival fans will come back and go, oh, they thought they were winning the league for 2 minutes. And I did. And I enjoyed that 2 minutes. And that's just the way I want to keep
more
it.
More than you've got, to be fair, unless you're
exactly.
a City fan. Like,
Yeah.
it was mad, because for me, like, people were celebrating, and I wasn't celebrating a goal. I was celebrating that other people were celebrating. Yeah. Because we didn't actually know there was a goal. We were just saw people celebrating. So I was like, ah! And I was like, yeah, I just going mad, and I was like, and then it was like it's 0-0, and then it was like, oh shit, okay, so what am I celebrating? Because I felt real joy, like, you know what I mean? No genuine fucking pleasure there, like, and then when the goal goes in and you're doing it again, and you know it's a goal, I'm basically celebrating an app on my phone that's telling me something. I'm like, yeah, you're the best app in the world.
It was funny because the lack of communication around the whole thing was horrendous. Like trying to get signals, trying to get updates. It wasn't happening. And so when the goal did go in, we at our side of the cop all thought that it was 2-0, and then there's people down in the main stand doing 2, and we're going like, is it 2? Is it 2? Is it 2? And then there's a fella behind me who just rings his missus.
What all?
He just rings his missus, and as he's trying to get through, someone turns around to me and goes, is it? What are they saying? They're saying it's 2-0. And he's going, it's 2-0. And this guy's not saying, and I go, no, that's not what I said. I'm saying that's what they do. And I went, stop putting fingers in the air. Everyone, stop holding their hands up, because no one knows what we're doing. Just keep our heads. And then the fella behind me went, what is it? It's 1-0. Oh, fuck. And then at that point, I just got Sky Sports up and saw that. So literally the second that they scored the equaliser, and you think, oh God. And then it for me, it ruined the whole experience. But I feel better now. I feel more relaxed now. I've had a couple of days and we got slaughtered that night as well. Helped big time, but it burnt my head out because it totally and utterly burnt my head out.
It was the weirdest thing because when we went into that game, the atmosphere from 10 minutes to kick-off until 20 minutes in the game was as good as anything. I mean, and I'm comparing it to Barcelona even. It was that good. It was that loud. And the life just got sucked out of it when City scored. And I think that translated onto the pitch.
And that they went 2-1 so quickly as well.
But then when it went 3-1, the atmosphere came back because there was a defiance to it, and everyone went, oh. And then everyone just put the phones away and forgot about it and enjoyed what we were there to enjoy. Yeah. And I don't know how you do that because, listen, I get my phone out and I record every single game we're recording, aren't we? And never has my phone been more of an annoyance or a distraction during the game. For someone who records pretty much throughout the entire game, that was the first time it's actually annoyed me. And I've never felt like that before because people were just looking at the phones. They weren't watching the game. They weren't supporting the team. Yeah. And then I was just, afterwards, it was like, you know what? Let's just celebrate the fact that we've got a fantastic football side. And that's when the atmosphere came back.
It was every vibration in my phone, every pseudo vibration that we now all get because we all get the phantom texts and what have you. When you feel something that's not there, every one of them was like, oh, and you're right. It all contributed to just the weirdest atmosphere. And you're right. Everyone's heads went in a good way, then in a bad way, and it meant the game. I couldn't tell you what happened in that footy match. You know, I've watched it back since, and I think what helped me ultimately. I was ruining people coming up to me post-match and being like, oh, well, you know, great season. And I was like, yeah. And I was trying to be nice to people because I'm not, no net sense of me being a dickhead to people who are happy because I've been preaching that whole season. Don't be mean to people who are who are happy. But I didn't have it. I wasn't feeling it. And it took me until we were all in Beer Keller and Match of the Day was on. And I got to see it in the heartbreaking cut back and forth between things. And I got to put that game into context. And I was like, that's fine. City were just brilliant. It was, you know, the fact that it almost got done and taken away, and you can see them just going and steamrolling them, and knowing that we were in that last game. I don't know about you, Ross, but it made me. I could compartmentalise it a bit better. Then I could go, okay, well that was what it was. I saw the whole picture.
I'd rather settle with that in the build-up. To be honest, I just wanted to know what was going on, like the outcome, like all the build-ups. I think Barcelona helped. A distraction for 3 days, 4 days, and as soon as you turn your mind to that game, it's going, I just want to know what's going on. I don't mind, like you said, I can appreciate this team beforehand, what's going on, and it was in City's hands, so it was never that, but I think that's what happened when Brighton scored, because you toy with yourself, don't you, going, well, City are a good side, it's in their hands, you know, ultimately they're going to win it. When you get that false hope, it's like, you come to get cut to 5 minutes going, well, Barcelona happened, so therefore we could win the league, so it might happen, and you get the false hope, and it's the toying with emotions, isn't it, of what's going on, and I just wanted to know what was going on, and I was fine with anything.
Yeah, it was microphone.
Oh no, it's you then me next.
Yeah,
yours over then me.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I agree with all of that. I think it's this is not a visual. This is a very visual gag.
There you go.
I mean, that's going to last 5 minutes.
It's not. It's laying on the table.
Absolutely is.
Damn.
Who's a real winner?
Yeah, it was a real kick in the teeth, and it was one of those things where we're entitled to feel down. You know, I get it, and fair play to anyone who walked out of that stadium absolutely bouncing, and fair play, and we should be, because there's a little matter of a Champions League final still to be played, and that we've earned that right. We've earned that right to that not be devastating, and that's what I've tried to compartmentalise it as. If we hadn't had the Barcelona, if we didn't have a Champions League final, I would be devastated. Yeah. Utterly devastated, particularly having had that sense of things, but we do at least have that, whether you felt it immediately or whether it's taking you a day or whether you're not quite there yet. We all know that in 3 weeks' time, when we're sat down ready for that game, we won't be thinking about the Premier League.
Yeah, and it was a nice surprise in a way, because I woke up on Tuesday morning done with football. Mm-hmm. Vincent Kompany puts that in the top corner on Monday night. You know you're 3-0 down to Barcelona going to a second leg, and I woke up on the and I was like, oh man, what I was ready to take a break from Twitter, from everything, just go and do something else in the summer, learn a new skill, just anything to take my mind off it. While I was ready to go on holiday, I was ready to do all this, and then obviously it all changes so fast on the Tuesday night, and we had that experience at Anfield on Tuesday where it was possible. That's possibly a once in a lifetime. I mean, it's not with Liverpool, I suppose,
Sure,
but it feels like a once in a lifetime thing to overcome that, and suddenly everything's changed. And you go into, and as you alluded to before, you go into Sunday as a result feeling much better about the situation, but immediately on Sunday night it wasn't a consolation.
Yeah.
It was just a small thing in the distance. It's the ray of light at the end of the tunnel at the moment.
Away. It's still too
I wish
far
it was
away.
a week sooner because
I'd be going.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Chris, like,
Oh dear me. Yeah. I mean, it might be good for the players to get a break and all that, but
Fuck
I
'em.
just want something else to think about, and it's so far away that at the moment I'm going to spend the next 3 weeks of my life with it on my mind 24/7, and I'm ready for that to stop.
Yeah, I agree. We're going to talk a little bit about looking ahead to the Champions League in a second, but no, I totally agree with that. I think it's weird is that part of me was like, if it was this weekend coming, like, you know, like, yeah, we had a week break and then it's the Champions League final, I'd probably be like, whereas it's that little gap, and I think it will suit us to some extent, your circumstances notwithstanding, Chris, but I think there's something to, I think, just being able to like decompress, because that season was fucking hard. That's the most, for a season where we've basically only lost one game of football, I've never been more stressed out watching
Mate,
it.
we've been doing this nearly 10 years, and you know, we've been much darker times, but I've not been this drained at the end of a season. It's just,
I think 13-14 was, it's a while back now, like I was in pieces by the end of that season, but you're right, I mean, we're splitting hairs over the difference.
I mean, you're talking, we weren't in a title race for 9 months in 13-14. That's the difference.
Yeah.
We absolutely were from the word go this season. And, you know, you hear people say, oh, they're only footballers and all that. Man, I'm just talking about it. I'm knackered.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely knackered
Yeah.
talking about it all the time. But I wouldn't swap it for the world. You know, what an incredible season that these lads have put together, and our manager. And, you know, I put on Twitter the other day, I was like, Shankly's Holy Trinity's back. Yeah. And it truly is. Yeah. You know, we're witnessing something special being built here again, something that happened in the 60s that now is getting done again, and we're at the start of something special. And you know what? We haven't got a league title to show for it, but over the next few years, we might have a couple.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. We're going to look ahead to the Champions League final in a moment. Before we do, Chris and I have got a brand new podcast and a brand new YouTube channel. It is the Machin Pajak podcast. We did a little clip this week. We were talking about the origins of Redmen TV, so if you're interested in all that, here's a clip. Again, making an entertainment show was what it was, and it's moved more and more away from that as it's become a bit more grown up, a bit more mature, a bit more polished as the years have gone on. But yeah, it's night and day. God, those early ones are genuinely atrocious.
They were scripted, weren't they?
Some of the scripting, I like some of the scripting on it because it tells you what we were trying to do. It was like when you're trying to do comedy, you've got to script. So a lot of it was like reacting to the World Cup stuff and that, and you know. So again, the problem with comedy is it's very subjective and it's very hit and miss. It was definitely more missed than hit.
I think one of the other issues is when you've got scripting, you need people who can act.
Yeah.
And I certainly can't fucking act.
We had some good fun, but we found our groove that we realised eventually the easiest thing to do is just press record on the camera and just talk about footy.
Get over and subscribe.
I couldn't have said it any better myself. Do it, yeah. We'll put the link in the description. We will, if you're watching this on YouTube, we'll annotate to it at the end as well, so you can click straight through and watch it, or just search Matrix Pajak. It's on Spotify, it's on iTunes if you like listening to all that stuff as well. So you do get involved. The last 3 weeks, more or less, to the Champions League final. What are your feelings on this? I mean, are you happy for the break?
Yes, for everything we just discussed, the mental break, like you know, said the season's been long and hard. The past week alone has been horrific. Yeah. I think you look at Newcastle 2-2, and like you're stressed out thinking, you know, this is the end of our season potentially because you know we were 3-0 down already to Barcelona. Divock pops up, and then Barcelona happens, and Man City happened the night before. It's just I just want a mental break for myself. Yeah. I'm just going to give me a rest and let me gear up for this as a separate issue, but and the players as well. Yeah. I think they'll need it. I think it'll make for a better venue. I do. Sorry to bring this up again, because I don't know why it's so far away. Like 2 weeks would have been fine for me. Yeah. It would have been alright for you, but I was like, it just seems like so far away.
Is it because the other leagues finish later?
What's it matter? There's only 4 English sides in the competitions.
Yeah.
Bring it forward.
Yeah, it's true, yeah.
Fucking Arsenal and Chelsea, their stadiums are 8 mile apart and they're going to friggin' Baku.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Obviously, now you got to get there via Syria or Baghdad.
Yes. Amazing. What I love about it is that because I did the radio on Sunday before the game, and it was like Arsenal fans and Spurs fans going, "Oh, it's a disgrace, this, isn't it?" I was like, "It's been a disgrace for a while." I know, I understand that you don't realise it. Like,
Where have you been?
We ended up paying £1,000 for a fucking chartered flight to Kiev last year. Like, I mean, ridiculous. The amount of troubles that people had to go through just because. Whatever, presumably because the UEFA officials wants to partner with whichever of the Klitschko's is in charge in that city. The big one, the old one, is it? Whatever. Yeah, it's an absolute piss take. But I agree on the break thing. It feels like Ben, that as we've all kind of said in our own way so far. That last week, the Barcelona thing, I was on cloud 9 the next day. The day after, I was back on the floor again because it's emotionally exhausting. That up and down constantly, and I felt like I could like run through brick walls when I woke up and got into work on the Wednesday. But by the time Thursday come around, all the adrenaline had worn off, and it was very much like, oh shit, yeah, this is it. Because it's like for us, this is our. You know, when you're in school, you get to July, and you get to the end of July, and then you have your holidays. This is it. Our year finishes here, and you can imagine it's doubly so for the players who actually had to run as well as have to do all this thinking that we've done, and probably more.
All this big thinking.
But it does. It just. I am 3 weeks is probably too much, but I think
it works in our favour. I really do, yeah. And I think, people will point to the fact that, Liverpool, when they've gone away for like training camps and stuff, they've not been necessarily great, but it's different. You're not getting the fitness up for 8 weeks, 12 weeks or whatever it is. What this does is this gives players a lot of time to focus on what's coming. Mm-hmm. And I think as an experienced side now, who've been to are going to a third European final in 4 years, we've got players who are used to this. Yeah. And, when you're left with your own thoughts and you've got something major on the horizon, you can just go down the rabbit hole. Yeah. And I think that's probably more likely to happen with Tottenham Hotspur's players than ours, because these guys haven't been through this situation. They'll be nervously expecting this final for the next 3 weeks, just like we will. Yeah. But I just think we'll be able to deal with it a lot better.
They're a bit like us last year, aren't they, in that regard? Like they're desperately
happy to be there,
yeah, and they're desperately trying to get their players fit as well. So that we are. I know we have a bit of that, but what it feels to me like our lads are just going to go away and lie on the beach for a bit, and recover, go and spend some family time, recharge the batteries and the soul, to get a bit poetic. And not that Spurs can't do that also, but like Harry Kane is going to be a bit like again like our midfield and all that, where he's just like he's desperate. He's not going to be able to truly relax because there's going to be a race against time for him to be fit and available. Whereas you'd hope. For us, that spell of time, like Roberto Firmino's the big doubt at the moment, isn't he? You'd imagine that will be more than enough for him to get himself back there. Oxlade-Chamberlain's going to be 3 weeks fitter. There's our only player like that is, at the moment, touch wood, is like Naby Keita, who's almost certainly out. Yeah. But he's like the one where he might be okay if it's a race against time. So I agree with Chris. I think that the 3 week gap probably does suit our preparations, probably slightly better than Spain.
Yeah, I think especially just given the weekend that we've had, I think obviously we're all talking about wanting to switch off. I think the players, I think they're being given a week where they can go abroad, not on long haul flights, so they can jet off to wherever and just even if they just have a weekend.
Jump on an easy jet to Parma. That's what I'm doing.
Bobby Firmino's cheating that. He's getting no long haul, but he's going to go like 4 or 5 short haul flights and get his way around the world.
You would go long haul and you just go, that's what they'll do. They'll go on they'll go to Dubai, or they'll go on like a mad 12-hour flight where you can sleep on the plane and you can get absolutely pampered every single step of the way. Go to something, you'll see Mo Salah, guarantee his Instagram will have him on some idyllic beach somewhere, looking off onto the horizon of nothingness.
Hopefully he'll use an apostrophe this time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what they've got available to them, and the 3 week gap means they can go and do that and then still come back with plenty of time to get themselves ready.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, throughout all that time, even though they've switched off, they'll still be really, really hungry for it because obviously of last season and Sunday. It's really funny this final because both teams are basically going to go in thinking that the name's on the trophy. And obviously the way both things happened last week and the way Spurs got through the quarter-final as well. But I think Liverpool players will almost be looking at it, right, we've just got to get this job done because it's about time we fucking did. Even though there have been circumstances over the last year and the year last year where we couldn't get it done for whatever reason because injuries in cup finals and how good Man City have been. Liverpool will now be looking at this opportunity to go, well, there's almost no excuses now. We've got to go and win this trophy because we are absolutely good enough. We can have some time to switch off, but they will never have been hungrier, especially given Sunday, to go and deliver for us.
I completely agree with that, Chris. We were talking about this briefly when we were in the pub after the game.
If you say so.
There's the pub, not before it all went downhill. That notion of there's a couple of people going.
Shout out to the guy who gave us some red shots in the 5 ways as well.
Did as well. Like they were.
Hannibal Tangfastics.
Basically tasted like the cherries from Tangfastics, yeah. Oh my God, it's repeating on me just thinking about it. But a few people, look, the closer we get to it, there's no escaping the fact that I think Spurs is Spurs are the harder of the two teams. They're in the final. They managed to get past Ajax. I did feel like I was watching Ajax clinging on. I think, I'd be bang up for a bit of that. Spurs have got the now still knows inside now. They've got a great manager. They've got some world-class players and world-class players who know how to cause us problems as well. But there is that degree to which I think Ben's right. I think us having the disappointment, they've not had a disappointment. They're on a high. As you say, they're just looking forward to it being the Champions League final. What a great experience. Our team will be fucking murderous. They will be desperate, clawing at every inch of their body to try and put right the fact that they've just worked that out and not won the league. To follow on from the Barcelona thing, and more importantly and contextually, is they got to the Champions League final last season and had to go through that heartbreak. Having that pain for a lesser side, I think, would be a burden. But I actually think for this side, I think it's
100%. Look at it this way, Paul. We have been playing knockout football for the last 10 games in the Premier League. Yeah. We just, it's been knockout football, and we've had Champions League quarters and semi-finals to go along with that, and we've managed to come through almost unscathed. We obviously got beaten by Barcelona, but we turned it around. We won our last 9 Premier League games on the bounce just to stay within touching distance. The murderous was one of the quality that you said there, fighting tooth and nail things. This is what we've been doing all season long. Absolutely. This isn't something new for us. This is what we've been doing. We're well versed in how to go into these games and fight for every last blade of grass. This is made for Liverpool this season.
It's all those things, isn't it? It's all like the pre-preparation, all the press stuff. They've done this already. All of this.
Can we just have it over 2 legs, please? The final. Come on, man.
I'm sure I can last 2 games, like dear God. But
I'd be able to make one of them.
Yeah, mate.
Second leg in France.
in Paris, please. In the Euro camp.
The preparations for this, again, this is a path well trodden, Ross, isn't it? And I think that thing, now that we're this distance from it, I said I'm sure I'm getting more nervous as it approaches. But I think we should feel confident at the moment. If you're not confident now, why wouldn't you be? I think what we've seen.
We're the favourites against either of them.
Yeah,
we're the favourites for a reason. We're better than them. We lost 1 game all season in the Premier League. They lost 13.
Yeah.
There's a big difference in quality between the two sides. There just is.
That's where I think my confidence comes from. We are so difficult to beat now. Whereas last season, obviously, we went on a run out post-Christmas where we didn't lose many games, but obviously we'd shown that we can be fragile in certain situations. We just don't... I mean, obviously, luck played a big part in Barcelona for me. We just don't look like losing football games. And that can all change in a cup final because it's so unpredictable. I think it was Rafa Benitez always used to say, I can get you as far as a cup final, but managers shouldn't be judged on cup finals because they're so unpredictable. But as long as this team keeps the belief that they've had all season of, as you say, like knockout football, it's just the confidence comes as a saying. We just don't look like losing. We're just such a difficult side to win, to score more than 1 against, and that's the thing.
It's something too, isn't it? Having come through this absolute fucking season-long crucible that we've been right in the heart of, to be able to go, lads, brilliant. Go away, have a holiday, and then all you've got to do is play one more, do that one more time, go into one more big game, go and beat those monsters one more time, and then you'll have a European Cup and a summer to reflect. Yeah, can you all do this? I feel like I can do it just saying the words out loud. You know, that's all Jurgen's got to do. Really.
I think there's
and hours and hours and hours of preparation. But yeah,
there's that, and I think the players have to motivate themselves. And I think they will do for what Ben said before. They've been there last year. They've been through the hurt. They've been through all that stuff. But I think it's last year was going into the unknown. I compared to like going to your driving test and you being nervous, you don't know what to expect, and ultimately you fall apart. Or like last year was carries throwing it in the net and stuff. But you know, Real Madrid were a really good side, and we overachieved getting there. I think everyone can agree on just saying Madrid will won it for the 5th time in God knows how many seasons. It's just fucking ridiculous. Yeah. I think the gap now, we're on the flip side. Most of the players have been through that. That's not a question now. What's coming up or what's the media duties or the atmosphere and stuff. They'll expect stuff now, and I think the sending off and having the last game at Anfield is huge by saying actually it wasn't congratulations for the season. It was that plus. Good luck in Madrid.
And also, the thing about it being Spurs to some extent, because obviously Real Madrid, we went in, it was Real Madrid, and there was probably a little bit of like, flicking hell, it's Real Madrid, bloody hell, it's Ronaldo.
In a European Cup final.
Exactly. And then now
it's
Bad enough
to go on the Bernabeu.
What?
It was bad enough just going to Bernabeu and facing off, and Barcelona, but European Cup fan takes to a new level.
There's a degree to which you could argue, well do they underestimate it because Spurs? I think because it's Spurs, I think there's no chance we underestimate it. Again, they're a known quantity.
Klopp rates them as well.
Yeah.
And I think, it's not, you know from what Klopp said about Pochettino and Spurs over the last 2 years that he massively rates Tottenham Hotspur. Yeah. So there's no way in hell, not that there would be anyway, that he'd be underestimating them. But the players can't because we got absolutely hounded out last season by them. Yeah. We've been good against them this year and stuff. We had a little bit of luck, don't get me wrong, to get over the line against them. But
over the line.
Yeah, but you know what? They're a good side and they can cause us troubles, and every player in the squad knows that.
Yeah. And Lucas Moura's coming to form at a good time as well. Like he's obviously got the hat trick. Yeah, for them to get the hat trick in there and stuff. So there's questions on who starts that because you said Harry Kane's in a rush to get fit. But you're dropping Lucas Moura, who's just got you to a Champions League final. I know Harry Kane's your captain and stuff. But...
And they've got the Pochettino, if I win, I'll leave thing. I don't know how that
reverse psychology.
It's all a bit weird, isn't it? I don't know. I get the sense from them, and it's so far out and it'll change because again you just get yourself up for one game. I always remember when we went to the FA Cup when we got beaten by Villa in the FA Cup semi-final, and it felt like we didn't take that game seriously. The fans, there was no atmosphere. It was a bit like, this is just a stop on the way to the final.
People went because you needed to go to that game to get a ticket to the final.
Yeah. No one gave a fuck about that game.
They didn't care about the semi.
And it didn't have a positive impact. Whereas it's a European Cup final. I can't see it being anything less than that. And I do feel like the sense from their fans is very much like they're scared of us. They've seen us. They all watched the Champions League final last season. They've watched us this season. They see how good we are and how desperate we are and the hunger, and they've seen as much as it like the luck thing that they got in Ajax is like that's astounding to them because it never happens to Spurs. It's meant to happen the other way around. Whereas
we got through the group of death as well.
Well, yeah, exactly.
There's and the VAR stuff against City, don't forget.
There's a feeling of inevitability when Liverpool get into those situations that I think they're aware of, and they're also aware of all the fucking weight of the times that it has gone wrong for them. So I do feel like it goes in them, and the mentality plays into our hands a touch.
I think they'll go into this game like we went into the game last year, thinking they can win, but perhaps not expecting to win. Mm-hmm. Whereas I was saying on the podcast before, it feels funny for me going into a European Cup final as favourites and perhaps bordering on the side of I am quietly confident. I think I do. I think if I had a tenner now to put on either side to lift the cup, I think it would be us. And I don't think I've ever been like that before in any of the teams.
I agree. I think it'll change massively because it's not a real thing yet. It's just a figment in the future. It's nothing, is it? I'm supremely confident. I see no reason not to be supremely confident. And as I say, because of the end of the season, just I think it all feeds into it weirdly. I mean, it doesn't. Just to clear though, that has no impact on whether the game is Liverpool winning or not in any way, shape or form. It's just how I feel about it.
I'd say 8 or 9 times out of 10 we win the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sean McKenna. I put this question in to highlight a point. Actually, it's one player realistically to take us to the next level. Chris, is there a next level?
Yeah, there is. Of course there is. This team without another player will go to the next level.
But what I mean is, this notion that because I've seen a lot of seasons when they do 6 signings, blah blah blah. there's not much better.
He's greedy, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, no.
Alright.
But the point I'm kind of making is there's not much better to be. You know what I mean? Really, the idea to get another player or whatever gets you that extra 2 points to win the league.
There is, because and as fantastic as he's been towards the end of the season, there's an upgrade on Origi. There just is. I've got Jadon Sancho as my guy.
Yeah.
I think someone that can play those three positions up top that is of the same standard, or will soon be of the same standard as the other three, improves us and does take us, on that step further and stuff. And but Trent Alexander-Arnold's 20, he'll improve. The back fives play together for one season, they'll improve. The midfield's going to improve because Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's coming back into it. Fabinho's settled. Will improve naturally, but I do feel like one or two signings could make the difference. Maybe how many trophies you put on the sideboard next season.
It's the quality of the bench that you're talking about, isn't it? And not relying on other people. And I think through that there's times where I think we could have rested the likes of Salah, Bobby or Mane without putting them through and putting pressure on them. I know, putting them through the pain barrier, which they are happy to do. But I think you can compensate that by, I put Werner or Zaha in there. You put Sancho. I thought he might be not a bit too far, but bringing some of that quality on, even if it's 20 minutes to go, or it's like a game where you feel you can rest them and they're of that high quality, there's not much difference between the front three and someone else coming on. Yeah. It works out for everyone in that favour, I think. And, we've been dead lucky with injuries towards the end of the season. Bobby's been out and Origi's been good, like you said. But imagine, having Salah run at you for 70 minutes and bringing, a Zaha or something. Yeah, I mean... Another level. City bringing on Leroy Sané.
Yeah. That's the point. Yeah. That's the point.
Hey.
It's that everybody's been saying all season long, they get to bring Sané off the bench and Bernardo Silva plays into great form and Mahrez has done bits at the start of the season and all. That's the difference between the two squads. Yeah. That's the only real difference.
De Bruyne was out for about 12 weeks and you wouldn't even notice, would you?
How can you... the best player in the entire league probably last season, and they really didn't even miss him because of that depth and quality that they've got.
There's probably, I think you're right in saying that, there's probably not too much. And look, they've been, at lengths to stress. It's not going to be massive transfers. I think you're right. I think we probably need at least one definitely. Two certainly, because you're going to lose a few players, aren't you, Ben? You're going to Daniel Sturridge is going to go, Moreno's going to go. It depends whether we feel we've got something within the squad. Where we're going to improve, Chris mentioned Oxlade-Chamberlain, but Brewster's coming in as well. Yeah. They've got high hopes for him. So we're all talking about this young up and coming player to come in.
We might have one.
He might already be at the club, and that the tough thing is that we could buy a better player. We could go and buy Jadon Sancho and finish the season on 86 points. And win the league. You know what I mean? It's that's the real difficult thing that we've got, is that Liverpool are at the absolute top of the absolute top of their game, aren't they? There's not too. I don't want to kind of drive an edge. You can't go much better than being in the Champions League final and finishing the league on 97 points.
I suppose it will. We don't know yet. The answer to this question depends on whether or not this season is an anomaly for us, and we don't know the answer to that question until the end of next season. Yeah. So you can't. It's almost if you need to know the outcome of next season to judge who to buy that, because you don't know. We could well go back to around the 80-point mark next season, or we could go and get 100. You just don't know with this exact same squad. I don't know. I mean, it's something to talk about over the summer. I don't know if I'm completely convinced we can do the same level of consistency again, but I don't know if that's just being a pessimist.
The best way to insulate yourself for that, though, is to do what is like Chris is saying, is that it's just having slightly better.
Yeah, and that's what I've done. So obviously, one player realistically takes. I think the next level is making sure you've got even better options and even better squad depth. So I picked 3 because I've ignored the question. So I like David Neres at Ajax because I think we definitely need to be looking at that Ajax team and thinking who can we have.
We already are probably looking at Delict.
He can play. Yeah, Delict was a shout pretty much. Yeah. But I think we've got Joe Gomez, who I think if he can stay fit, can arguably be just as good. Yeah. So I didn't go for him. Neres can play either wing, and I think he'd be good cover. Brandt, as we mentioned before, he had a good World Cup in a World Cup where Germany didn't perform, but he was one of the shining lights. And then I've also gone with, as another option in midfield, Yuri Tielemans at Leicester. I think he's been absolutely fantastic since he arrived. He won't be starting every week, but if you've got another technical player like him to bring on, I really do think he's been, and he would be available because he's only on loan at Leicester. But I think if I could go and pick a player outside of the top 6 at the moment to go and sign, he's been amazing since he arrived.
Yeah, I really don't know. Names-wise, I think the Timo Werner shout's good. All fantastic shouts. I think, That and maybe a left back or someone who can play both. So if you could get a centre half who's similar to Gomez but can play centre half and left back, then you've absolutely nailed it there. But as I just think we're fine. You know, we'll do some squad depth analysis in a couple of weeks' time just to really kind of spell it out and where we're at. But you look at Moreno only played 2 games in the league for us this season. You know, so we didn't really need him in that regard. It depends what Milner wants to do. And then I think Origi's perfectly capable of being a good understudy.
What Liverpool need, though, and I've been saying this for a few weeks now, is they need a couple of cup runs domestically to show people around Europe that, you know, even if you're not a first teamer, you're going to get games.
Yeah.
The problem Liverpool have had is we put such poor sides out, unfortunately, that, and I say poor, not that the poor players, but the cohesion is poor. And as a result, we lose those games. You know, throwing an injury to Dejan Lovren as well, which didn't help against Wolves and stuff. But if you can get to a point where, like City, you're going far in the League Cup, you're going far in the FA Cup, you're going far in the Champions League, and you're challenging for the title, then there's 65 games to share around.
Yeah.
Liverpool don't have that at the moment. We're 15 games shy of that. Yeah. And that's something that we need to address very quickly for me. Because if you want a big squad, you've got to stay in the competitions for longer.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think if that's the case, then go and buy a better second goalkeeper, and then because all it is we're forgetting about. Kurt Jones needs to play some footy next season if he's good enough. Keanu Hoover's still young, but he might you know, there's a world where Lovren just goes and he becomes the 4th choice centre half, and Gomez and Matip battle it out. As I said, Oxlade-Chamberlain's coming back. You've got Brian Brewster. We might not need anyone at all. We might be fine. It's going to be fascinating to see. Regardless, I think for everyone though, I think it'd be a good message to send. And I wondered whether us selling Solanke in January just gives us that little bit of money to just go early in the window like we did last year. And it wouldn't shock me if someone brilliant just dropped in very early in the transfer window and that was us done. Like, so let's say it's Julian Brandt. There you go. Julian Brandt's done, and that's us done for the summer. Everyone go on holiday, everyone get into training camp, and everyone get ready for the new season. Be fucking made up with that. Just last one then, Tom Carroll, Tom_Carroll88 asks you, Ross, starting next season, do you think there's any risk our lads will suffer mentally from this year's disappointment after losing one game all year? They must be thinking, fuck me, what have we got to do? Or does it just drive us even more?
I think both, but I think suffering mentally is only a natural progression because it's a natural reaction, isn't it, of being disappointed. You can't not be, can you, of putting all that work ethic in. You know, we said how hard it's been for us. For them, they must be absolutely goose and just thinking, how do you compete with Manchester City? How do you do that? I think as much as the saving grace the Champions League was for us, it will have been for them as well, thinking actually at least they've got something to look forward to and a little reward for them, you know, if they win it. But then again, they've got this round in Champions League. You know, how long was it since? It was 2005, and we probably thought it's never going to happen again. Yet they've done it twice in 2 seasons, or three finals in 4 seasons.
We've had so much disappointment on the way, Chris, and we've bounced back brilliantly every single time that we're now all the evidence is just suggest we'll be absolutely fine.
Look, the thing that skews all this is we put up our thoughts and opinions into it. Yeah. You know, all this like, but you know, we didn't win the Premier League and we got to the final and there's a hoodoo on us. It's all bullshit. They don't think like that. No. They think there's fucking 32 sides in the Champions League and we've bested 31 of them last season and we've bested 31 of them or whatever it is this season thus far. And they're thinking, you know, there's 90 odd teams in the leagues in England and we were the second best by a frigging point. They're not thinking like us. They're thinking we're one of the best sides in world football and we'll just have to go out there and prove it next season.
There was so Steele, what you were mentioning, he was a bit down in the pub afterwards on Sunday, and his analogy that he kept going back to, and apologies Steve, I'm not trying to dig it out here, it's because it's a good one. He's somewhat like, you go up against a world-class boxer and you throw your best punch and you don't knock him out. And I think I get that, but I think of it more along the lines of imagine going into a ring with a fucking juggernaut, going against the best of the best, the guy who's been there and done it, got the silverware and the belts and all that to show it. And like a year earlier, you were nowhere near being in their class, nowhere near good enough to get in the ring with them. And then you got in the ring and you took it to points. You wouldn't be devastated. You'd be thinking, I'll beat him in a rematch. I'll come back and I'll do them again. And I think that's my hope, and I think that's what we're seeing now is that track record of this Liverpool side not falling to bits in the face of disappointment, of dusting themselves down. Yeah, gonna go. You were 25 points or whatever behind this team last season. You ran it here, and all it was going to take was one, you know, Vincent Kompany just hitting the bar, or 11 millimeters, in the Etihad or whatever it is, and all these little moments that can work one way or the other. But the fact is, they can work one way or the other. It's the multiverse. You know, everyone will be disappointed because they have worked the bollocks off and not being able to have the rewards for it. Will be disappointed, but that's what he'll just have that. That's what he'll be giving them. You'll go and look at how far you've come, and you're not even there yet.
I think it speaks volumes that we're nearly that like we're not really hearing. Look, just because I'm consistent here. We're not really hearing any whispers of anybody wanting to go. I think we like there's been a bit about Mane, hasn't there? But that's all gone quiet. I think everybody clear. It's such a close, tight-knit group, and they're all wanting to die for each other on the pitch. I think the example of that was Barcelona. You see Jordan Henderson collapse at the end because he's picked up a knee injury in the first half, but he knows that there's 10 other people on that pitch that he needs to work hard for, and there's 54,000 people in the ground as well. So for me, it speaks volumes that their mentality is we just keep going until the end, and then if that doesn't work, then we'll just start again and go again next season.
I think look at it as well, what helps, because I think you're dead right, this is going to be something, I'm sure there'll be links, the newspapers will make some bullshit up the Chris, because they always do, but I think having seen Barcelona in the flesh, having seen PSG in the flesh, Bayern Munich in the flesh, and to a slightly less extent Real, they'll be looking at him like Coutinho's the prime example of this. Even if an offer does come in, they've got Phil there, and he's hated and hounded at Barca. He's the second most expensive player at the time, like in the history of footy, and he's not good enough to get in that team. And even though he's not being used the right way. And they're looking at going, I'm here, I'm adored, I'm challenging for all of the same silverware, and it's having a better chance as well. It's going to be a lot harder to turn Liverpool players' heads this summer than it's probably ever been.
Yeah, I said it, the other day. We're a destination club now. That's what we are. We're not a stepping stone anymore. You can achieve your dreams at Liverpool Football Club as a player. You can be adored, like you've just mentioned there. Why go to Real Madrid? Where did they get to in the Champions League? You know what I mean? And they've fallen off a cliff at the moment. Now they'll get back. Don't get me wrong. The Real Madrid, but Barcelona, we've been to 2 finals. They haven't been to any in the last 3 years.
And we say they'll be back. It's worth remembering. Real Madrid never really go far, do they? They're not relegated. They don't fall off a cliff the way that Liverpool have fallen off a cliff. Or you could argue Man United. They never had the best seasons that bad. But yes, they've got Zidane. Yes, they'll be doing a rebuild. There's someone they'll throw money at it. They did that in the past after the last Galacticos era, the Ronaldo, the Van Nistelrooy, all that kind of the Zidane. They went through a spell of thinking they were doing that, in buying Ian Robben and Wesley Sneijder and all these kind of lads, and they were.
Well, look,
no guarantee that
it look at Manchester United now, and how far away do you think players around Europe are thinking from Manchester United genuinely challenging for titles, be it the Champions League and the Premier League, 4 or 5 years maybe, something like that? How far away are Real? Mane goes there next season. Are they winning the league? It doesn't look like it to me. It doesn't look like they're getting that far in the Champions League. So why would you go?
Yeah.
And then how far away are Real from winning that league? 2, 3 years maybe. And if they recruit well.
And particularly it's the Champions League thing at that point as well. Like you're in with a chance of winning your domestic league, but are you going to win the?
Have they won a frigging trophy since Ronaldo left?
Brilliant, guys! Thank you very much for that. That's been amazing. The podcast's going to take a little break. We'll be back in the build-up to the Champions League final. If you need more in the meantime, get over to redmentv.com. We've got the bonus Q&A where we answer some of your questions, including knob for a nose or nose for a knob. Yeah. Yes. Get over, get signed up. It's free for the first month, so we're going to have all of your Champions League final build up there. You can access completely for nothing. Get over, sign up, and we shall see you there. Hopefully got some really cool guests lined up, so I can't give away too much at the moment because I don't want to put too much pressure on Ross and his booking skills, but we'll see in due course. But anyway, thank you very much for watching and for listening to the podcast this season. That is us for the Premier League. One more big game to go this season, and hopefully a little bit of glory as well. Well done.